Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to the podcast. So we have another guest with us and it's actually someone who had on before. So do you want to give us a little brief description of who you are and what you do?
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Keiana. I recently quit my 9 to 5 job where I worked in insurance as an actuary. And now I am running my own digital marketing agency. And then I do a couple like side jobs, side hustles to like keep my lifestyle going.
Mhm.
Those stuff are irrelevant. Those things are irrelevant. But like, yeah, that's pretty much me. Just here living in Toronto.
I love that. So before we get into it, I like to do a little hot seat segment to kind of just break the ice. So you said you live in Toronto, but if you can pick up and move anywhere right now, where would it be?
Ooh, Barcelona or Montreal, surprisingly.
Okay, I think you should move here. I need friends. Like, I
So
need friends that do the same thing as me. I feel like everyone here is all like 9 to 5 life. So like I can't just like go like work with a friend because everyone's at the office or
yeah.
something. You definitely should. The next one is do you have a life mantra or motto that you live by?
Um, well, that's a good question. Maybe like somebody has to do it or somebody's gonna do it, something like that, because I feel like even when it comes to ideas, if you don't execute, somebody else will. And even
Hmm.
when it comes to what you don't want to do, like at the end of the day, somebody has to do it. Like even simple things with like when I don't want to eat, like okay, you have it anyways. Like somebody's gonna have to do it. So just do it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then the last one is who's a celebrity or creator that always keeps you inspired?
Oh my. Grace Beverly, do you know her?
No.
Um, she's from the UK and she owns like Tala, which is an activewear brand, and then she just has a lot of other companies too, and she's big into like organization and stuff. I just feel like she's very inspirational, and she started with like being a fitness creator, so she just also gets things from the content side. So yeah.
Grace Beverly, you said? Okay, yeah, I just found her. I know, yeah, I've never heard of her.
Oh yeah, it's so crazy. There's so many big creators, but like there are just so many creators that you could
Yeah, that like there's so many.
yeah, you could think someone is big and somebody else is like, I've never heard of that person. But yeah.
Hmm. Okay, awesome. I'll check her out later. But talking about social media, and I feel like both of us do share a lot of our lives online. What is something that you do for fun that many people may not know that you actually do?
Well, the funny thing is I think I put so much there that people will know everything I do. I run a lot, which is something I started doing
Mhm.
recently, like last summer. And it's so funny because I started posting it a lot and it got a lot of traction when it came to content, but it really just came up as a hobby that I was doing with friends.
Hmm.
And I remember one time I started pushing it as content, and then I was like, actually, no, I'm gonna reel this back and keep this as my secret little hobby to myself. So I'll still say that like that's really my main hobby right now and learning French so that I can move to Montreal.
Yes. God, I haven't spoken
Yeah.
French in so long, which is so funny. Like none of my clients are French. So
Oh, okay. But are
yeah,
your clients from Montreal,
I
most of
have
them?
one. That's it.
Okay, fair.
But like when
Fair.
we speak in English. So whenever people speak to me in French, I'm always like, oh my God, like I forgot that like I can speak fluent French.
Fair.
It's like
Okay,
a,
good.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, got that. Yeah.
But growing up, did you always kind of envision yourself being a business owner, or did you always see like a different path in mind for you?
Honestly, I always knew it was coming because it's just small things. When I was younger on summer break, I make calendars in hand and walk around and sell it to my neighbors. And
Mhm.
even as a kid, you're obviously not making fantastic things. So I'm literally just like taking paper from the printer and drawing these things and telling my neighbor, here, you need to give me this amount of money for it, you know? So I feel like I've always had that energy.
Mhm.
Um, but I guess growing up, I didn't really know if it really would be possible because as you get older and you see how businesses actually run, you're like,
Yeah.
wow, that's actually so I guess I've hinted at it. It's like a pre-soft launch.
Yeah. And what kind of made you go from working the 9 to 5 corporate life and being like, okay, like I'm actually going to quit that and pursue this?
So I guess the thing is, I did internship when I was in university, and I knew very soon after that I was gonna quit my job. I was just like,
Hmm.
at least when it came to that specific type of work. I just knew I wasn't really passionate. And you could work and decide like, oh, I'm just gonna do things. I'm gonna work this job that I don't really love so that I can enjoy life outside. But if you're spending so much time, it's just like, yeah, I just didn't want to do that. So I knew wasn't gonna stay in that job. But overall, I knew that I wanted to work remotely, and I knew
Mhm.
that I wanted to be able to work when I want. So not have to show up between 9 to 5, even if it was remotely. So yeah, I think that kind of led me to knowing I'm gonna quit my job, whether it is that I find like some very casual agency type work when I can work wherever I want, or just do something for myself.
Yeah. And when you started your own business, what were some of the biggest challenges you kind of faced from transitioning to like being an employee to entrepreneur?
I think the pitching, like having to actually find my
Oh,
own
yeah.
clients was, yeah, like before people just kind of came to me through referrals. And obviously, since I wasn't depending on it for like income for day to
Yeah.
day, I was like, I would take it if I could, if I had the time capacity. Now I don't even really run my life based off the money I work from my business because I just don't trust it yet. But even then, just the work you have to do into pitching, it's like, oh, it's not just marketing that you're doing to like get these clients and doing their content. Now you have to go find more. And I'm like, I just got one. Now I have to look for another one. That's
Hmm.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like awkward. So when I'm trying to like pitch myself to people and like be like, this is why we need to work together, I'm always like so shy. And I don't know why, because like it's literally what I do, but like I just feel like that.
No, I feel that that's been my biggest thing, like selling myself. And I find
Hmm.
that even when I was younger, I always hated having to sell or push things on people. Even when it comes to like paid collabs from like the creator side, like I have to really like something to then go and decide I'm gonna push it to people because I
Hmm.
hate pushing onto people. So I have to kind of get over that. But yeah.
Yeah. And talking about like the financial aspects of like quitting your job, because you do, like you did say you have like side hustles right now, but it's obviously still not the same as like when you had like a full-time job. So how has that transition kind of been? Because for me, for example, when I just went into this full time and I was like, hey, like I literally have nothing else. At the beginning, I was not like managing my finances well at all. And I personally get paid once a month. So it's been an adjustment. So how did like that transition work for you?
Okay, so I guess I will say from the two jobs I have, I actually make more money now. But
Okay.
side of that is I don't, because with my 9 to 5 job, I would make them take out a crap ton of money for savings and insurance and all of that. So the difference now is I still haven't gotten insurance. I need to, but
Oh, I
I'm
don't.
just like, oh my,
I'm 2 years in and I have not gotten it. So you're not
no.
alone.
Literally, my mom made a joke and she was like, you should have quit your job maybe a couple of years ago when you could have been under my plan. And I'm like, well, maybe I should
Hmm.
have thought.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, so financially, I haven't really felt the hit of it. But when it does come to like money from my business, there's this weird pace I'm trying to figure out like, okay, how much, for example, one of the jobs I work at is at a cafe, right? So I used to start by working there 5 times a week, then four, and now I'm down to three. And my goal is to like gradually just decide like, oh, I'm not gonna really work there, but if they need me, I'll go
Hmm.
if I need extra money. And it's been really hard to try and figure out, okay, as my business grows, how many days do I work at this cafe? Because there's some months when I'm making way more than others, or like somebody
Hmm.
will work with me for 1 or 2 months and then they're like, actually, we're kind of poor now. Like we can't afford
Yeah.
an editor. And I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna lose maybe a couple $100 this month. So right now, I would say the biggest thing is that I've just been setting so much money aside. Like I'm not even touching the business money until I really feel like, okay, we have a lot that like if I needed to go get a new job, I could find
Hmm.
that time.
Yeah, I think that's smart. And like I agree with what you said too, because like being your own boss, you never know. Like every single month I make a different amount. And it's like at this point now, it's like kind of stable, but like some months like you just never know. And like you said, like sometimes people are like, oh, like I don't have any money left, like to pay you. So like that's like a huge chunk gone. So it's always like a risk. But I guess that's the life.
That's a life. Yeah. You know what? A big tip someone gave me is that once you get to a certain amount, like let's say I was at like 5,000, they're like still keep the amount that you give to yourself the same. So if
Hmm.
that's 3,000, 4,000, whatever, and just don't change that. Like, and maybe every 3 months you could give yourself a bonus like you
Hmm.
would at any. company. But they were like, yeah, until you get to that place where your company is really consistently making money, you gotta just keep it chill.
Yeah, for sure. And can you kind of discuss the importance of having like a solid business plan and strategy in place before kind of transitioning to like working for yourself? Because I feel like myself, I just jumped into it and I was like, I'm just gonna figure it out. And then I was like, oh, I should have thought of this a little bit more. And I feel like you did. So can you talk a little bit about that?
You know, you would think I did. So as I will say, having the part-time jobs is really what allowed
Hmm.
me to just kind of bold. I thought I had things figured out. And then when it really came to like the pitching and people actually getting new clients that weren't just friends or referrals, that's when I
Hmm.
was like, oh, I have a lot that I don't really have in place that I thought. Cause like even when it came to contracts, like I would just kind of draft up something and send it to someone and tell them to just type their name on the form. And then now I'm like, okay, well, I'm working with people that are a bit more, professional too.
Hmm.
So I don't want to think I'm just here joking around. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, well, actually need proper templates. Maybe I actually need better payment methods than telling them to send it to my PayPal.
Hmm.
So I think I did take January and February off. So I quit my job in December and I was ready to just start going full time at January. In January, that's when I realized I really just didn't have a lot in place. So I actually spent January and February just building foundations. Like I didn't try to look for new clients. I like if someone came to me, I would take it on, but I
Hmm.
wasn't anything. I wasn't trying to post even on our own socials. I was just like, let me create processes and did take more time than it really needed to just because I do work other jobs. But yeah, I would say you do need to spend the time to build out everything and just think about how many ways could people ask you different things and how can you cater to it on the fly.
Yeah. And most of your clients right now, are they like in Canada, the US?
US,
Me
surprisingly,
too. Okay.
all of them
Like
except
I only
one.
have two clients in Canada and the rest are all in the States, which is like low-key kind of better for us because like I mean, I don't know about you, but I'll charge them in USD. So then I get more money because I don't like
Fair.
really change it.
Yeah, no, I feel that that's the interesting I'm trying to figure out now because like so I've been trying to set up systems in like Stripe, right? So that way I can
Mhm.
just send someone a payment link and be on with my day. But it's so weird that when people are from the States, I'm like, okay, here are the links. And then when they're from Canada, I'm like, oh, well, you can't use that same link. And I'm like, do I have different links for people from Canada and the US? Because when you send them a link, when you send a US client a Canadian link, Stripe then converts the exchange rate, then gives you less, and then they take their fees and they give you less. And I'm like, these are
It's
the things, these are the
complicated.
systems. And I'm like, this is just so much work. Like, just give me the money and go?
I wish like there was a way to do like e-transfers or something in the States because I feel like that would like solve so many issues. Because like my Canadian clients, I'll do like we send it to like because I have like a business bank account, I guess. So they'll send it there and like that's easy, whatever. I'll just take my cut and like send it to my personal. But then when it's like US clients, I can't. Just like that it doesn't work. They don't have e-transfer or whatever. So then I like right now I still do it through PayPal, which is annoying because it does take like a cut. But I'm personally I'm lazy and I haven't looked at other things. But again, like so many platforms take like a bigger cut
Yeah.
and it's just like annoying. And there's like, I feel like at this day and age, like there should be something for like Canadians and US to like easily do that, but there's not.
No, honestly, and that's the thing. Like, so similar, I use PayPal too, and I think just between PayPal and Stripe, I'm just gonna kind of figure out like who's taking the most money with
Hmm.
this other one, because that's just unnecessarily complicated.
No, 100%. So your business, it's called Karate. Is that how you say
Oh, you
it?
see it translating well. It's called curate, like
Okay,
when you
right. Okay.
curate.
I mean, yeah. Okay, now that makes more sense. I just didn't know how to say
Yeah.
it. Um, but basically what inspired you to like be like, okay, like I actually want to do like a digital agency. I want to offer like editing, social media management, all those things.
So of course my own background in YouTube and I've
Hmm.
edited podcasts for before. The editing side seemed very like intuitive. So that's actually what I was only going to start offering, just editing services. And I had posted about quitting my job to do marketing on my Instagram. And all I said was marketing. I didn't really say editing. And somebody was like, oh, like I'm trying to find an agency and I want someone to create content. Can you like help with that? So they signed me on and I was doing content for them. But then I realized they were actually asking me for social media management. And then I was like, okay, well, I know how to do social media management because that's what I'm doing here. And
Yeah.
honestly, in past jobs I've done, I've been hired to be a content creator. And little did I know I was actually just doing full on social media management. So I'm like, all
Mhm.
right, I'm just gonna offer these main services that I have experience with. And yeah, everything's just kind of coming over time. Like it's just like I didn't really expect to have a full blown thing. I was just like, I was
Yeah.
gonna do free as well, and then now I'm here.
Yeah, I feel like we have like really similar stories, which is fun.
Yeah,
Especially because when we met, I don't think I was doing this. It's been a while.
yeah.
But like we were both like trying to figure out life and now we're both kind of in the same spot, which is fun. Um, can you walk us through a little bit about like when you came up with the name, the logo, and like the whole flow of that?
Okay, so name and logo, we're actually getting a new logo made. The one I have right now, I just literally slaps the name of the company on to a Canva template.
Mhm.
I was like, cause I'm a big sticky girl. If you're watching the video,
Mhm.
you're gonna see like a ton of sticky notes. And my friend and I were trying to brainstorm what I could name the company because I had just called it KB Media Agency, like Keiana Byfield for my full
Mhm.
name. Like I actually don't really want my name in it though. I don't know. Like I just didn't. We literally just wrote down every single word you could think of that has to do with like content and
Mhm.
creation. So we were writing down like social or curate or content or creation. And then we just landed on curate and I put the K just because my first name is Kiana. But
No, I
yeah.
mean my freaking agency is literally my last name. But I was like, I feel like
Yeah.
it's such like a unique last name too. And I didn't
I
want like
was
my full like Amanda Wan, whatever, because I feel like that ties too much to like my YouTube and like personal brand. So just having like Wan was like easy. So for me, something that I was trying to deal with when I first started my agency was like setting myself apart from others because there are a lot of different like agencies nowadays. So how would you say you kind of set yourself apart in that aspect and like what makes you unique?
So I guess even when it comes to vibe, like I did spend a lot of time because we had to use January and February just building foundations.
Hmm.
It was actually a good thing in terms of how I was going to present content online because I had so much time to just look at what other people were doing. So I would follow a bunch of
Yeah.
accounts to see how they post, like if I like that neutral vibe or if I want like a loud, busy energy or like, silly, goofy energy and doing reels and stuff. Um, I basically decided like in terms of how I'm gonna stand out brand wise is kind of I mean standing out would be just coming from my the own way in which I edit things. I think I
Hmm.
edit videos in a very like fun, clicky and very busy kind of way.
Yeah.
Um, And I think that in itself does help my content to stand out a lot. So I was like, okay, there's certain aspects of my personality that I want to bring into the brand, but also still recognizing it's its own separate thing that needs to be able to function without me. And also something that needs to be palatable to like an actual company if I pitch to
Yeah.
them. So yeah, I think I've just settled on this. I want my business to feel very fun and approachable, but still professional, like we know what we're doing. Um,
Yeah.
that's what I'm using to try and guide all the content we make in terms of marketing and stuff.
Yeah. I think that's important to like to have like your personality in it as well. I think that does set you apart. And like even like you posted a video the other day and like it's professional, but like you can also feel like there's a human behind it. It's not just like I don't know, boring ass person. So yeah, I like that aspect of it. When you were coming up with like the services you were going to offer and the prices, again, that was something I had no idea like what to price things at because no one speaks about it. So how did you figure that out?
So for the first package that I came up with, I actually just got the template from someone on TikTok. And
Okay.
I had to search TikTok just to find that because
Hmm.
naturally it's never just there. So after I find that, I'm like, okay, this guy can offer a lot more than me. He has way more experience than me. Let me try and I took his package, basically put a price to get to his total and
Hmm.
just okay, these are what I can offer from his package. I'm just gonna price it and then throw it in a package. Recently I met with this girl that I knew she worked in marketing at an agency and she was like, girl, absolutely not, like this is way too low, like get it together. So I just doubled the price because I mean I'm pretty transparent with my pricing. Like my lowest social media package was 750 And that was me managing their entire engagement, posting on their stories
Hmm.
like 3, 4 times a week, doing all sorts of stuff. And she was just like, any other agency would be paying like 3,000, charging 3,000 for even 5,000 for this.
Hmm.
She was like, at first, she was like, oh, you should charge at least 1,000. And then as we're talking more and more, she'd be like, but maybe like 1.5, but maybe like 1.2. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna bring it up to 1.5, bring it maybe even to 2,000. Like I still haven't even
Yeah.
price, but I'm like, if people are paying 3,000, why am I gonna do all this work for 750? And she
Hmm.
was like, at no point should you even be doing less than 1,000. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
been
no, that was my struggle too, because I know for a fact when I started, I charged like literally nothing. And like people would tell me, but I'd be like, oh, like, I don't know. And like, I'm so, again, awkward. And
yeah.
like, whenever I'm like throwing a price out there to someone, I'm like, oh my God, like, are they gonna like think like I'm overcharging or like anything? But like that never, like, no one's ever told me that before. And I know a lot of people that charge so much more than me. So like, I just need to like suck it up and just put
Yeah.
a number that's like valuable to me on it, but it's just I don't know, it's so hard sometimes.
You know what though? So two things, because there are people that I've met with that literally tell me like you're actually just too expensive. But I've already gotten to that point where I'm like, I know how much my time per hour is worth.
Hmm.
Just simple things as knowing minimum wage and
Yeah,
other people get paid my other jobs. I'm like, my per hour is worth this much. And how much you're gonna grow and gain from me making this one video for you is also
exactly.
worth that. So you just if you can't afford it, as much as I'd love another client, like it just doesn't work. And then yeah, I forgot my second point, but that was a strong point. Yeah.
No, no, but like I totally agree. And so we were talking about how like it's not a 9 to 5 job anymore, and like you're working like I see you sometimes you're working at night, I work at night sometimes, and like it's hard to kind of just shut off or like be like,
Yeah.
okay, like I'm gonna just work on this tomorrow. So how do you kind of navigate that? Because sometimes I feel like I'm working till like 11, 12, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like I should not be doing this. So how do you kind of do that?
Yeah, I would say during the week, I'm still trying to get better about it. Like with cutoff times, I do cut myself off at like 10 p.m., 9 or
Okay.
10 p.m., I think, the latest. But I do have an issue when it comes to like in the morning, skipping my morning routine and just jumping into work. And I do wake up pretty early. So if I'm up at 7, sometimes I'll just start working at like 7:30. And it's like, Kiana, you need to calm down and go.
Hmm.
And this is something so recently, like 2 weeks ago, I put into place where it's like Sundays, I do make it self-care. So even if I want to work, I still have to do all these like self-care things before. So normally I probably wouldn't start working till maybe 2 p.m. And I also do factor in on the weekends, on Saturdays, for example. I'll probably go out with friends, but I
Hmm.
don't consider going out as self-care or me
Hmm.
time. But it's socially draining in a sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try to block out Sundays for me, Wednesday nights as like the midweek like reset. And then other days I just really try to do like a 10 p.m. cutoff and 8 p.m. start instead of the 7 a.m. start.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's hard. But like I feel like after a while, like we'll get the flow. But like sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, like I need to finish this. And then like hours pass. I'm like, I should have been done this a while ago.
No,
Um, yeah, it's hard. But how do you kind of stay on top of like promoting your business and getting clients? Like, do you cold email people?
well, I'm only now getting into that because I've been doing a lot of like in-person networking and stuff like that. But a lot of them have really told me like now you just need to sit and pitch. Like, and I
Hmm.
think I was just trying to push that off and avoid it for so long
It's
because like
scary.
scary, it's awkward, it's like,
Hmm.
like the rejection of it. But yeah, now I'm at that point where I've just kind of written a template out and I'm gonna actually start sending them out next week. And
Okay.
also, even from a content side, I've been just now thinking of content that can attract people. So let's say, for example, doing feed revamps on popular brands, like that stuff I'm gonna start bringing into my strategy. Just to kind of put more my portfolio out there more because I think that's the
Yeah.
thing. I feel insecure with pitching because I feel like my portfolio isn't that strong, which I still know what to do, but I just
Yeah.
only worked with so many clients in the way of like social media management specifically. So I don't have as much proof.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And looking ahead, what are some of your goals and aspirations that you have for your business?
I really want to get into like experiential marketing. So that would be like setting up their booths in person,
Hmm.
like in the middle of the mall, like you'll see sometimes. I've actually worked as a brand ambassador for different brands like Corona, for example.
Hmm.
So I've been on those little missions, and I think that side of it is cool. So I don't know. I think that's where I kind of see it going right now.
Yeah. No, I love that. And then the last part of my podcast, I asked people on Instagram to ask you questions, and I picked two of my favorite ones. So the first one is, how do you not compare your own success to others?
Um, I think I've just been really good at that for so long that it's so embedded in me that I don't even remember. I just am in my own world, honestly. Like I just am literally just in my own silly world, and nothing anyone does really kind of takes away from what I'm doing. And I know that's something that you have to build up over time. Maybe
Hmm.
built it with like affirmations or stuff like that, or really just minding my own business and not watching people
Yeah.
as much. Like I actually stopped watching YouTube videos a really long time ago, and it's because I felt like I was so deeply immersed in the lives of people. And then I started telling myself every minute you spend watching someone else's video is a minute you could have been doing something for
Yeah.
yourself. So yeah, maybe that's the good answer.
Yeah. No, I've also stopped watching. I mean, I watch some YouTube, but I tend to not watch other than like my friends. Like I'll watch your stuff, but like other people that are doing like digital agencies and stuff and talk about their business, I try to not like watch it a lot because then I'll just like be like, oh, like they're doing that and I'm not, or like they have this and I don't. And it's just annoying at this point. So I've done the same thing. And then the last question is, what advice would you give to someone who's interested in starting their own digital agency?
I would say to start with freelancing,
Hmm.
because it's very wow and like impressive if you just jump into this. Like a lot of people think I quit my job to do this and it was out of nowhere. Like it
Yeah.
was very calculated. Like I spent 2 years knowing I was going to quit my job. It was then to figure out, okay, what are you going to do when you quit your job? And then even last July is when I realized what I was going to do. And I was like, okay, but let's ease into this. Let's start building up the clients. Let's start telling people so that the minute you quit, things can come in for you. And like let's also start improving on certain skills so that you're actually like you can sell yourself. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would say go into it slowly and think about like what you can do and start building your skills.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's all I had for you today. So thank you so much again for coming on. Before you leave, do you want to shout out any of your socials where people can find you, where they can work with you?
Yeah, if you guys want to follow me personally, my Instagram, TikTok, YouTube is Keiana Byfield, so KeianaByfield. And then my media agency is Curate Media. So on Instagram, I think we are Curate. Yeah, so KURATE Media. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.